Here this morning at the Shreveport Country Club with one of the NSU legends, one of the all-time great Demons, number 76 for the Demons, Marcus Spears from Baton Rouge and Bel Air High School. Marcus, you certainly have the best wardrobe of the day. Will you have the best golf game of the day?
Of course not. Of course not, man. It's a festive occasion, and just getting here and being a part of it, being a Demon and showing school spirit. So that's what it's about.
Well, that's what we want to talk to you about today, is being a Demon, your memories of Northwestern, how you got here. You were an interesting case in that until your senior year of high school, you didn't play high school football. Tell that story, how you got into football.
Living away from the school that I went to, it was very difficult for me to go. So me being in the band, and I think they got it wrong, I was a percussionist and not a tuba player. Just finally just didn't have anything to do going to school and catching the buses, and just wanted to give it a try. I know I was big enough to do something. I like basketball. Basketball is my sport, but obviously not good enough to get a scholarship anywhere. So, just take advantage of the opportunities that was given to me.
All right, you were at Bel Air High School senior year. You're going through the senior year. Coach Sam Goodwin saw some tape, and he said he saw a guy who could run like a deer, who was just big and really looked talented, but didn't block anything other than sunlight.
Man, I love when Coach Goodwin tells that story, man. He didn't hit nobody. He can run, though. And I guess I had to develop becoming a football player. It's not easy to do. Getting out in the heat, it's 100 degrees, and trying to put a good practice together, 3-hour practices, sometimes 2 practices a day. It's not hard. It's not easy to do. As a matter of fact, looking back over it, it's like, wow, would I do it again? I don't even know. I mean, it's that hard. It's not easy to do, bro.
Well, we talked about this a lot last night at the Legends dinner, and it is a very difficult, challenging game. It never stops pushing you, and it gets tougher as you go along because of the players that you're playing against. Talk about your early days at Northwestern. You were obviously learning the game and trying to evolve into becoming a good player at Northwestern. What were your experiences in those early days as a Demon?
I think I remember most of all is the fun that I had in a small town environment, friends that I'll have for a lifetime, and growing up, developing, becoming a man, and understanding about life and how to develop and move on to the next thing. The one thing that I do take from Northwestern, that work hard work ethic, and with a small town mentality, works wonders. And I try to instill that into young people everywhere I go. So I just try to give that Demon spirit and leave a little piece of it when I leave the building.
All right, as a Demon, you began as a starter, as a sophomore, and obviously when you're starting, you feel like you're pretty good. But when did you begin to realize this could carry me further than a college education? And I know with you, the college education was first and foremost.
Honestly, I never would understand. It's still a dream to me, to get paid to do something, a king's ransom, to play a kid's game, seeing the scouts and getting, and just because years before, when you're a younger guy, you see the scouts coming in to see the older guys, and you're just like, wow, maybe one day they will come and check you out, but you never know, and even when I got drafted, it's like, wow, is this really happening? And I think when you put that helmet on, and I guess the first initial contact is when you realize and you know what it is. It's just, like I say, it's time really passes, and you look back over those things and you appreciate the hard work and the effort that you put into those things.
Who were some of the teammates that you really treasure, the memories of playing with them and the relationships that you've had going forward?
Wow. Man, just my college roommate, Jerome Keys. I mean, just everyone that came in the '89 class. I mean, we still kind of keep in touch with one another, and it's good that those guys are doing. Everyone's doing well for themselves, and I think those are the things that I remember most, and those are the things that I cling on to and I cherish, because football comes and goes. As you see, you got guys that's played for years, but the one thing that they love is that they have the stories. And and the one common denominator that we all share is that whoever, it doesn't matter who goes on to the next level, we all met on this level, and we all did it, and we all won games, we all lost games, but we grew up and became men.
All right, now you mentioned stories, and last night at the Legends dinner you told a couple of them. You reminded folks about your quarterback at Northwestern, Brad Laird. That was a good one. Why don't you share that?
See, and people don't understand, Brad Laird was a little arrogant piece of stuff when he got to Northwestern. I mean, he was a pretty good quarterback. He was a heavily recruited quarterback, but at 3'9", you really can't go anywhere. But he was a great quarterback. He's a great coach. He's a good friend now, and just remembering those memories, and he still talking that I got him hit, man. I don't remember ever getting him hit, but he's just those things, and to see how he's grown as a coach and as a father and everything else, it's just things that you cherish, and you just can't wait till the next thing.
Now, you played for Sam Goodwin, and you also had position coach and other folks who were important to you. I know Ed Evans, the trainer, is probably somebody that you treasure. Talk about Coach Goodwin and experiences playing for him, and any other coaches whose memories stand out in your mind.
I think Coach Goodwin is a class act. He to this day he's still working. He's a family man. He's a solid guy, hard-working guy, and he was a father to a lot of guys that didn't have fathers, and I was fortunate enough to have my dad, but to come 3.5 hours away and have someone that you don't know take that type of pride into you, and it's like, wow. And to this day, man, we conversate and we catch up on old times and we laugh, and it's just as good to see him and all the things he's accomplished, and other, like you say, Ed Edwards and Thomas Foster and yourself, and just everyone along the way that you meet friends, and you just don't forget those guys, and we get older, we get a little fatter, we lose a little hair, but the memories you can't erase.
Now, that senior year, it became obvious that you were going to be a pretty strong draft pick. Talk about going through that experience of all these folks. I remember having dinner with Bobby Bethard, the general manager of the San Diego Chargers, and he was in Natchitoches for one reason, and that reason was number 76, Marcus Spears. So how do you handle that and keep things in context and not get too excited about the future?
Well, what I would tell young people is understand that it is a process, and you are a valuable person until you're not valuable anymore, and which is a sad reality of the game that we play, that you got to get everything you can while you can get it. For me, I was still taking it under, it was all kind of new to me. I'd never ever been recruited. I was one scholarship, one team, that was it. And to see that and to experience that, and it was just like, wow, that happened. To see all those different people coming out and saying that you could play the game, it really drove home that, okay, maybe this thing's going to be real. But I really didn't get it until maybe a couple of years into the league, because athletically, yeah, you're good enough to be there, but are you good enough to stay? And that's where I had to develop how to become a pro and develop how to do my next progression in football.
We're here this afternoon at the Shreveport Country Club with Gary Reasons, one of the great players in Northwestern history, one of the great ambassadors in Northwestern history. Not sure if he's one of the great golfers in Northwestern history. What about it, Gary?
We'll have fun today. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I'll hit a few good shots, but then I'll have some that'll be less desirable. I tell people I play golf like Captain Kirk. I like to go where no man has gone before.
Well, beam me up because I'll be in the deep reaches of the woods with deep woods off on searching for my balls. Very good. Very good. Now, let's talk a little bit about your experience with Northwestern. And it goes back to the days when you were in Crowley High School and out there west of Fort Worth trying to figure out what the future held. And how did you arrive at being a Northwestern Demon?
Well, I wasn't highly recruited out of high school. You know, my coaching staff didn't have a lot of connections in school and college. When I was in high scholl, we really didn't have anybody who'd come out of my school to play college football. So it was kind of new for the recruiters to come through there. Yet, you know, I was a first-team all-state in Texas, and you know, had a great career there, both as a linebacker and a tight end. So I could have gone and played as a tight end in college. Wound up as a linebacker, and I think that fitted me pretty well. Looking back at it. But the story is pretty simple. I mean, I had someone reach out to Northwestern State. There was an interest. They had an opportunity for a scholarship. So I flew out there on a plane, and lo and behold, I love the little town. I love the community. I love everything about it. Obviously, it turned out well for me. But it was one of those things where it just, you know, it just kind of got everything all lined up, and the stars aligned properly for me.
Well, I know every young man who goes to college to play football has dreams of maybe making it to the NFL, but I think you were a guy who came into Northwestern certainly with dreams of getting your diploma. What was your approach when you arrived on campus?
To be honest with you, I love the NFL. I love that opportunity, but you know what? It never was my focus at the outset. You know, when I started playing ball at Northwestern, it was far more to get the education, to get the opportunity. No one in my family had ever gone to college to get a degree. So I would have been the first, and I was the first. It came through it and with shining colors in 4 years. I wasn't on the multi-year program, so which was a good thing. It was a good experience. So that was the thing I think I'm most proud of, is getting that education there, and that's something you can build on forever. You know, most athletes, they'll tell you, is, you know, you're one play away from, you know, your career ending. I was just kind of had a hard head and a rugged body, and I kind of avoided injuries and really at all levels. So I was pretty fortunate. I wound up having a good career.
Yeah, you majored in business administration. I think you graduated with a 3.45 grade point average, something in that neighborhood. You also made a very important acquisition in Natchitoches for the rest of your life with your wife, Terry.
Yeah, that was a good find for me. Terry Matthews then, you know, graduated Natchitoches Central High School. I met her in Natchitoches, and she worked at Posey's Sporting Goods. And by the way, congratulations to Lee Posey, the new mayor of Natchitoches. So, you know, she was a very well-grounded young lady at the time. And, you know, I'll tell you a story real quick here. First time I made All-American was after my sophomore year, and I just started dating Terry. And so I was real excited. I was about to go home for the holidays, and you know, just been announced that I'd gotten that accolade. So I drive over to Posey's Sporting Goods, and I'm there to tell her. I said, Terry, I got some good news for her. And she goes, well, what is it? And she goes, I said, well, I got elected to the All-American team. She looked at me. She goes, okay, what is that? God love her. She, you know, she didn't know the magnitude of it, and so she loved me for the right reasons.
That's good. Now, you know, it was interesting last night to hear Coach A.O. Williams say that he fought for you to be a tight end when you arrived at Northwestern. Were you aware of that, and did you have a preference, and how'd you end up at linebacker?
You know, I don't think we really ever had a conversation about, you know, me playing linebacker or tight end. I had no preconceived ideas of where I would fit best with the program. But from day one, I was with the defensive guys, and I think it was pretty evident early on that I was going to try to earn some playing time, because I just wouldn't quit. I was one of those guys that was trying to make an impact from day one, and I did. You know, I did it on the punt team, on punt block team, exactly because I blocked 3 or 4 punts in a row on the punt team. They're like, nobody could block me, so they got to figure out a way to get me on the field.
Well, it worked out pretty good because, as you said, you made All-America as a sophomore. You became the first 3-time All-American in FCS Division I AA history. That earned you ultimately enshrinement in the College Football Hall of Fame, one of the special players not only in Northwestern history but in college football history. But as you earned that first All-America honor, something else happened from your position coach, Joe Jones, and tell us about what dawned on you because of that.
Well, the announcement one was something I never expected to be in, you know, first team All-American after a sophomore year. I mean, never was a goal, never was something I set out there and said, hey, this is what I want to do. But to earn that accolade, it was special. And Joe Jones was my linebacker coach at the time, and he had previously been with the Dallas Cowboys as one of their scouts, and so he had complete vision within their program. He told me, he says, Gary, I just want to give you an idea of where I think you're at. He says, not only do I think you could play for the Dallas Cowboys today, he told me, I think you could be their starting middle linebacker. And I'm like, wow, they had Bob Brunig back there at the time, and and I grew up as a Cowboy fan, and so I knew that team, and knew it all too well. And for him to say that to me, that was an eye opener. And so here I am, a sophomore, 19 years old, about to go into my junior and senior years, and so I have a couple of years ahead of me after that sophomore year. How do you approach those? Because I've just been awarded a very great accolade with an All-American honor, and then told by a guy who I respected in his opinion about playing perhaps at the next level in the NFL. And it's kind of surreal, Doug. It's one of those things where you just don't know how to deal with it. And I think I dealt with it the best way I could, and that is forget about all of it and just play. Just do your thing. There's no way, there's no entry into the NFL early. There's no opportunity to do that. They've kind of set some guidelines, but that never entered into my mind. Just play, stay healthy, and if it all meant to unfold for a professional career, then it would happen. And it did. It did for me. So I think the approach was solid, and it worked out.
You played for two coaches at Northwestern. You played for Coach A.L. Williams and then for Coach Sam Goodwin as a senior. Talk about that experience of playing for two different coaches and what they were like as leaders and as men.
Both of them great men. Obviously A.L., very well respected in North Louisiana, got great credentials, and the staff that he assembled with Jerry Arledge as our defensive coordinator and Coach Laird as the offensive coordinator, and then the rest of the coaches were, I think some of the best that's been around at Northwestern in a long time. I mean, from top to bottom, it was a great group. Happy to have them, and we had some great talented players that I played with, and so we had a good run of opportunities ahead of us. And then when AL was gone, and then Sam came in, you had to make some changes, and I understand that happens at the university. But as a player going into my senior year, that really wasn't something I wanted to have happen. I wanted to have consistency and continuity to move forward, so that you'd have a good campaign at your last hurrah, so to speak. Came to respect Sam Goodwin very much. I think he's a guy that very much his heart was completely in the game, completely with the team. Just a very good, solid ball coach. He then assembled a very good staff, and his tenure at Northwestern is legendary. 18, 19 years, whatever he put in there, and probably go back and coach some more if they let him. He did a great job, and he built a foundation post our era with Northwestern that's now propelled Northwestern athletics to a new level. And I commend both of those men because they had great careers, both of them, and just a unique influence on me as a person, as an athlete, and really as coaches. They touch so many lives, and there's so many great stories about all of them.
There certainly are, and we could go on days and days with both those guys. One thing that's amazing to me, and I've really never had the chance to ask you this, in your day at Northwestern, you're on the team, Bobby Hebert's on the team, Mark Duper's on the team. There are other outstanding players on the team. Did you guys ever look around at each other and realize, have any idea what kind of talent was out there?
Well, when I was out there as a freshman and I see Joe Delaney running around, you got to realize that this is a high caliber operation here, because we had speed. Victor Otis was there, Mark Duper and Joe Delaney. Those three guys were three of the four guys on a 4x100 relay team that won the NCAA national championship. So, lo and behold, we had talent, kind of like no other program. And so to then have a guy with a big, tall, lean body from South Louisiana that could come up and sling the ball pretty well, that was a fun time. It really was. It was a great time in Northwestern history, I think, and kind of what we put out there, and with a bunch of guys. Myself on the defensive side, came into being a pretty good player. We had great talent on the defensive side too. So it was a well-rounded group that we had, and I'm very proud of what we did. We just didn't win enough ball games, Doug. That's all I can tell you. Didn't win enough, but it was fun and a great experience.
Well, that changed a little bit for you when you went to the NFL. You went to a team in the New York Giants that was emerging as one of the NFL's best. You went to a coach who is arguably a Pro Football Hall of Fame coach, won 2 Super Bowls. Talk about the experience of coming into the New York Giants program under Bill Parcells, and then how it evolved into 2 Super Bowl championships and all the great memories that you had wearing 55 for the Big Blue.
Well, first of all, I really didn't have any insight into the New York Giants as potentially drafting me. Didn't have any really specific conversations with any of their scouting staff or anybody at the coaching staff or the front office level. So when I did get picked by them, it was kind of really a bit of a surprise. I really had thought that the Cowboys were going to pick me because they had talked to me about that, in the 3rd, 4th round, and the Giants took me, and the Cowboys had the pick 2 or 3 picks later. They actually took Steve Diassi as a linebacker, so we were comparable body sizes, and guys wound up playing together a little bit. So going to the Giants, I didn't really have any idea, so I started to look who's there, and I look at this, and they got Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson and Brian Kelly and Brad Van Pelt. These guys were just kind of legendary and just a great linebacker. And I said, well, why are they picking me? Well, Brian and Brad moved on, but Lawrence and Harry were still there, and I came in, and I made an impact kind of like I did at Northwestern early in training camp. And Ron Earhart, who just recently passed away, really took notice as an offensive coordinator how I played defense and how I was able to get into the passing lanes and just had a knack for playing zone coverage and man coverage. And the playing in the NFL, a lot of guys can play against the run and be okay in a front 7. Being able to translate and transition that into coverage in the middle, the second half, back half of the defense is a little bit of a challenge to him. But for me, I'd always played in a 3-4 defense from high school to college and on into the NFL. So I had a great foundation in it, and it gave me a chance to really excel much quicker. And people joke about my speed. I was a 4.85, 4.9 guy. Really, I wasn't going to beat any clocks, but the anticipation, knowledge, and intuitive play skills that I had really allowed me to play faster, and I could easily play faster than a guy who runs a 4.6 40 who has to process things. I had the ability to translate that into motion very quickly, and that's kind of what helped me propel myself along.
Okay, 2 Super Bowl championships. Can you try to encapsulate the experience of playing in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, being the leading tackler in one of those Super Bowls? What an experience that was for a young man from Crowley, Texas.
Yeah, I tell you, it's things are moving very fast in your life when you do those things. You don't really understand the magnitude of it until you really look back at it. And at the time, the goal in the NFL, any player will tell you this, is they all start the same thing at the very beginning of training camp: is they want to get to the dance, they want to get into the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl. That's the goal of every team starting out, and it's all the same. And everyone thinks they can get there, but the reality is 2 teams get there. And then once you make the game is actually anticlimactic. I tell people that all the time. It's not the most euphoria that you have is winning the NFC or AFC championship game because, hey, you're going to the Super Bowl. But then you break it down, it's just another football game. So then you prepare and you practice and you try to put all the distractions aside and prepare to win those games. And we had great plans. Bill Parcells was a great head coach, a great leader, great communicator more than anything. And I think that he kind of set the stage, consistency from for 3 or 4 years there. We had from 84, 85, 86. We just continually built our team around our strengths, our defense, our offense, and we had a foundation for success. And then to be able to translate that into, winning a lot of ball games. We were 14-2 our first Super Bowl year in the regular season in 1986, and just kind of walked through the playoffs, the NFC playoffs, and we really just had a great outing against Buffalo in the Super Bowl. 39-20 was the victory, and we earned that one because we were kind of poised for a good run because of our, just how well we were built around a nucleus of players. Great experience for me personally. It just, like I said, it kind of was all moving very fast, but it was fun. I'll tell you a little story though. My mother-in-law came out for the ball game in Pasadena, and she said she told me something. She goes, she says, Gary, I got something for you. And I said, what is it, Rose? And she goes, well, Mr. Joe Sampate says he gave me something. He gave me something to give you. And he goes, what is it? So she hands me these I Heart Natchitoches stickers that Joe used to give to everybody. And so he says, he wants you to put one of these on your helmet. And so literally I'm about to be introduced on the field for the Super Bowl, and I'm in the locker room with this sticker in my hand and my helmet in my other hand. I'm about to go out on the field to walk down. And so I get up, I walk into the tunnel, and I've still got the sticker in my hand. And I'm thinking to myself, do I put the sticker on or not put the sticker on? Well, if I had, it'd been a great moment for Natchitoches and Joe, and that'd been fun. But if I'd have put the sticker on the helmet, it'd been a $15,000 fine. So sorry, Joe, I had to toss it to the side. So that was an interesting memory. But to be introduced in front of 100,000 people in the Rose Bowl, and then to 1 billion people across the world, it kind of brings your career to kind of a real high point, and really the top of the game that you prepare for as an athlete. And from there, you just bask in kind of, hey, the moment. Here's the fun. This is why you play these games. This is why you compete, and you go out and win. And we were fortunate to win both times.
You had the opportunity to speak to the Demons this year in Dallas when they were into town to play LSU, or SMU rather, and you shared some very poignant memories about your time at Northwestern. You also passed along those Super Bowl rings and your College Football Hall of Fame ring. You got very emotional talking about your days at Northwestern and the honor of being in the College Football Hall of Fame. Reflect on the College Football Hall of Fame honor and what it means.
Well, it's one of those things where you reflect back on your career, and when you talk about all the greats that have played in the college game, and then most of them go on to the NFL, and to be selected to be enshrined into with a class of men that really set the stage for the foundation of college football, as was one of the best of all time. Never did I ever expect it, Doug. This was my post-career, and I'm sitting at my home in Spring, Texas, and I get a FedEx letter at the house, and lo and behold, I sit down in my office and look at it, and you've been selected to be enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame. So I cried right there for about 15 minutes at the house, because wow, this it's hard. And so those things mean something to me, and I think it kind of puts all your career in perspective of you think of the guys that worked with you, how you got to point A to point B, and what you build on. And I'm an emotional guy, but I understand that it's those are the things that you build up to, and you get accolades, and I don't take them lightly. I really appreciate them, and because then it kind of it validates to some degree of the hard work you've put in, and people recognize that. And I wasn't looking for recognition, but it just came, and to me that was pretty special. And for me to share that with the team this past year, some of those memories really kind of got an emotional thing, because I hadn't talked to many NSU programs. I think a couple of squads over the years. I'm very busy during the fall, so I don't have a chance to get back to the stadium and see the guys, see them play. But I really just have a lot of great feelings towards Northwestern, and trying to share some of those memories with the people, and perhaps give them a little bit of an encouragement or something, say something to them, whatever that is, to help them as they propel themselves for their personal life, or their sports careers, or whatever happened with them, is to give back and share with those guys. So all those things come together, kind of an emotional thing for me to talk to a team like that. And but I think it was a fun moment for me, and hopefully one that those guys will remember.
No doubt anybody in the room will always remember that, and will always remember number 34 for the Demons, Gary Reasons. Thank you, Gary. We're here at the Legends Golf Tournament, a beautiful Monday afternoon at Shreveport Country Club. We're with Craig Nall, one of the great players in Northwestern history, a very proud Northwestern graduate, and a successful quarterback in the NFL, and a guy who's gone on to have success after the NFL. Craig, let's talk about how you became a Demon, what led you to Northwestern. You came from LSU. You spent 1 year on the football field with us. How did that process evolve?
I really wasn't getting an opportunity to play at LSU like I thought I should, and it just came to a point where I had to make a decision if I wanted to stay there and keep fighting that battle, or make a change and give it one last shot at a different school. And honestly, when I made the decision, yes, I want to transfer somewhere else. I got 1 year left to play. There really was no other place than Northwestern. I mean, I grew up in Alexandria, so we're 45 minutes down the road. The defense that was coming back, I felt we had a really good chance. And I was a little disappointed that Tony Taylor left. I got a chance to play against him in high school, but it really wasn't much of a question as to where I was going, as if I was going to leave LSU or not.
Yeah. And when you got here, quickly, you adapted to the system, and we immediately had success. Your first game at Southern, you threw for the second most yardage in school history, 346 yards, one of your 4 300-plus yard games that year. Talk about the guys who were around you, particularly on offense.
Well, Nathan Black was my roommate, so we had a pretty special relationship. But all the receivers, Bernard Green, Corey Bell, Devon Lockett, all those guys contributed at some point. Daryl Johnson at center, who filled in for Nick Fiorito. Just really up front, we had some great guys that gave me plenty of time to get the ball off. We did a lot of play action stuff that really helped. And our running back core, we had some guys back there that could really tote the rock. So it was a great time, and then on the defensive side of the ball, you had Ponstein and Kurt, R.I.P. Kurt, but we had a lot of camaraderie on the team. And when I came to Northwestern, I immediately felt kind of the love and the brotherhood, of being on that team, and it just made things really easy. And then the coaching staff really kind of giving me the opportunity to come in and just relax, knowing that I was going to play, and kind of adapting to that system a little bit, which was a little bit, I don't want to say more elementary than what we were doing at LSU, but there wasn't quite as many intricate details that I had to pay attention to. We didn't have any hots or side adjusts. I asked Coach Roos, I said, what happens if they bring more than we can block? He said, you just got to do something with the ball. So it was a little bit more sandlot, and I think that relaxed me a little bit and allowed me to really play comfortable and have a good season.
Well, speaking of sandlot, and this kind of fast forwards to the end of the season, one of the great plays that I've ever seen for the Demons was a sandlot play that you and Nathan Black created very early in the playoff game at Montana. Talk about that. Yeah,
second play from scrimmage. I think we handed the ball off the first play, and the next one was a play action to the weak side. And Nathan, I can't remember what the play call was, but he was supposed to run some type of in-break and route. When I came off the fake, I seen he was already past him. Nathan threw his hand up, and I believe the ball was pretty much on the way when he was putting his hand up, and hit him in stride, and he was able to outrun the guys to the end zone, 74 yards for the touchdown on the second play. Man, we were so excited. I could have kissed Nathan at that point.
Well, there were 23,000 very suddenly silent people in Missoula, Montana at that point, and the Demons gave them a heck of a run that day. One game that the Demons weren't supposed to win that they did, and it may still rank and may never be topped as the greatest win in school history. The overtime win at TCU, a bowl-bound team coached by Gary Patterson. What was the attitude going into that game, and at what point did you guys say, we can get this done?
Well, knowing that we supposedly didn't have a chance to hang with these guys, I think they had 9 returning starters on defense alone from the year before when they were ranked number 5 in the country on that side of the ball. So we knew we had a pretty good test on our hands, but we didn't have the attitude that we couldn't win. We went in there expecting to win. We had a great week of preparation, as I remember. And then getting off to a fast start, I think, was really key in giving us that confidence that helped us get to overtime. I believe the opening drive, we went down and scored a touchdown. So it really kind of set the tone. It let guys know that, hey, we have a chance to really win this thing. Let's go out and get it. And, a couple of key plays towards the end, I really kind of threw a ball up, and I forget who made the catch. Was it Nathan? Or
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Whoever it was made an awesome play that allowed us to kick the field goal. But overall, a great team effort. Our defense having a whale of a game and holding that offense to 24 points, I think, was pretty special.
It was, and that was a great night to be a Demon. We had many more during your year with us, and football wasn't the only thing you did at Northwestern. You got out on the track and field and threw the javelin and got to the national championships.
Yeah, I've always been blessed to be able to throw stuff, whether it's baseball or football. Had a chance to do it in high school, and it was really kind of a joke the way it started out. Our starting quarterback was out there trying to throw it. And I just walked by on the way to the weight room and kind of snickered at him or something. And I think the exchange was, well, do you think you can do any better? Yeah, I do. And I did. So from that point on, I really started to kind of work at it a little bit. But just, God-given talent allowed me to be able to compete in that. Playing football, I didn't have a whole lot of opportunities, especially at LSU, to throw in many meets. I think I threw in 5 meets there. I was able to finish 3rd in the SEC meet, make it to nationals. And then when I transferred here, having a teammate like Latrell and a coach like Mike that really just made it so much fun, and qualifying for the nationals again and getting a chance to go to Oregon. We competed on the first, I think ours was the first event of the NCAA championship. So once we were done, we got to just kind of sit back and watch. So those were great memories and great experiences too. I was very fortunate to have a chance to do that as well.
Well, maybe the most significant memory and experience at Northwestern was running into Mrs. Null. Talk about that.
It's kind of a joke. I'm not great with names, but my main focus when coming to Northwestern really was to play football. Yes, I wanted to get my degree, but I definitely wasn't looking to start any type of relationship, knowing I was only going to be there for a year. And, our circle kind of mingled with their circle, and I'd met her a couple of times. And about the 3rd time, I still didn't remember her name. And she asked me, she's like, "Are you ever going to ask my phone number?" I was like, "Yeah, this is my situation. I wasn't really but yes, I do want to. I want to talk to you some more." So that was kind of history. That's where it started. And we just made 7 years being married on the 19th of this month. Matthew turns 4 in May, and Mason turns 2 on April 21st, which is also my birthday, which is pretty cool. And it's also the day that I got drafted on my birthday.
Boy.
So April 21st has been a good day for me.
Buy some Powerball tickets or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you went on to the NFL, 5th-round draft pick, went to the Green Bay Packers. Go to the Green Bay Packers, that's not necessarily an opportunity to play immediately with a guy named Favre in front of you.
No, it's not. Kind of catch-22. Great to build relationships with him, but at the same time, being a competitor, you want to get out there and have a chance to compete. But I wouldn't have. I don't know if I would have picked a different place to go, because just the mystique and the way that guy plays football, it really was a treat. But yeah, very fortunate to have that opportunity. But if I'd never come to Northwestern, I don't think that would have been in the cards for me.
You told the group last night at our Legends dinner something a lot of folks didn't know, and that's that Brett Favre is a dangerous man to be around.
He is. He's probably the biggest prankster that I've ever met. Walking down the hallways, he'll trip you if you're walking in front of him. You might be at a walkthrough or something, 2,000 people out there, and if you're not paying attention, shorts go down. I've been hitting the back of the head with a football from 30 yards away. I had to take my shirt off in a team meeting one time because he put itching powder down there, and the shirt had to go. Everything you can, stink bombs, the little Sharpie pens when you pull the cap, it pops. A little fake mouse trap in the donut box, and when they open it, he hits the button. Fart machines, you name it, he's done it. But the thing about him is he's able to play that relaxed and let guys calm down a little bit because he's done all his preparation. There's not anybody I know that studied more tape than him. Still diligently took notes. Sometimes it was a crossword puzzle to kind of cover for that, but he's still paying attention in meetings, and he ran some of the meetings. But he was that prepared. He knew what was going on, and was able to go out there and just be himself and play the way he did.
You played in the smallest NFL city in Green Bay. We'll ask you about that experience in a moment, but you also had a unique experience in that you got to play professionally overseas. Yeah. What was that like?
That was a great experience in NFL Europe. After my rookie season, I'd asked the coaches if they were going to allocate me to NFL Europe simply because in the 5 years in college, I only started 12 games. So I just hadn't had a chance to play a whole lot. And they said, no, we want you in town in our mini camps and everything. So I kind of scheduled out my off season with that in mind. And then the last day that you can allocate anybody, offensive coordinator calls me up and said, hey, I think we're going to send you overseas. I was like, really? I said, yeah, we're just trying to make sure there's a team over there that fits our system. We'll call you back in a couple hours. And called me back, said, you're going to Scotland. You're leaving Friday. It was like Wednesday. I'm like, man, what a wrinkle. But to have a chance to go over there and play a little bit and play really well. I led the league in touchdowns and quarterback rating. And we had an opportunity to make it to the championship game. We just kind of lost out on the three-way tiebreaker. But to have that opportunity just to do other things, like I got a chance to play the old course at St. Andrews, took a picture at the Berlin Wall, saw the red light district in Amsterdam. We did our walkthrough down on the beach in Barcelona, which is pretty interesting, especially when you got guys that are walking their routes and their cameras are still going this way when they're checking out the scenery down there. But just a great time, and meeting some of the guys that eventually you see playing in the NFL as well. Some guys that were Scottish, English. There's some guys in the league that were Japanese. So to get experienced to some other cultures and everything was pretty neat too.
Absolutely. Now, you went on and played in Buffalo and wound up getting back with Green Bay and going to Houston. And now you're doing some things that are related to football. Talk about what you're doing today.
Well, my main gig right now, I would say, is my one-on-one lessons. I've been doing it in the DFW area for about 4.5 years now, and really kind of built up a clientele. I've actually got 2 kids that are going to college this year. One I'm out of Decatur, who just signed with Stephen F. Austin, unfortunately. And the other one's going to Incarnate Word down in San Antonio. So I really enjoy it. Eventually, hopefully I can make a living off of it, but I'm not going to charge $200-300 for an hour-long session like some people do. It's just not my DNA. But I'm compensated for my time, and some of the dads know what I put into it and the amount of detail and pride that I take. So they usually, kind of take care of me on the back end. But that's not really why I do it. The reason is I feel it's a duty and obligation to be able to give back to the youth and help them along, just like everybody did for us. Scott Stoker was probably one of my biggest mentors coming out of high school. His dad being my head coach, but Scott took time coming down from Lake Charles when he was coaching at McNeese to work with my mechanics and everything. So paying it forward. Yeah. I want to give those experiences back. So hopefully, in the future, I could be a little bit more proactive in helping out with the Northwestern team. And doing some things, and me and Brad Henderson kind of established a relationship last year. So hopefully, I get a chance, this summer to work with him a little bit because the kid's talented and he's got a shot. He might not be the tallest, but he seems very bright, has a great attitude, and he's got some physical talent to where he can play that position pretty well.
No question about that. Now, today you're going to be on a golf course. Obviously, you've played St. Andrews. You love the game of golf. Hal Sutton grew up in some places on this course. Don't think he's playing today. How are you going to do?
It's always kind of hit or miss. The ebb and flow of the golf game is something that I don't think you'll ever figure out. Although right now I'm hitting it pretty good. I finally found a driver setup shaft that works for me. And last time I played 18 holes, I shot 74 with a double on the back and a bogey on 18. So I feel like I'm striking the ball really well. I'm controlling it. I've always putt decent. The chipping and pitching, that's a little bit more difficult because I swing so hard and having to control that a little bit. But I don't think they're going to be relying on me. We got Billy Joe Tolliver and Mr. Lyons in our group, so we're going to be okay.
Well, if you find a hole, let me know because I'll be right there.
All right, Doug. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Craig.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.